Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Mr. Sloan, I want to follow up on an exchange you had with Mr. Tipton with regards to the New York Times story. Is it your position that nothing in that story is accurate?
Oh, it may be that some of the individual team members said those things, and I can't say that every one of our 260,000 team members, but I think in terms of the assertions, we disagree with every one of those.
Okay. Well, so let's follow up then in more specifics. Melissa Kennard, she worked for Wells Fargo, and she quit in January?
She may have. I'm not familiar with that former team member.
The story states, and it's been reported that Wells Fargo would steer clients toward investments that would generate recurring fees for the bank, including in a case where it was in the client's best interest. After she quit, Wells Fargo sent a letter to her clients in her name announcing that she would be teaming with another Wells Fargo employee to handle their accounts. The letter stated that Ms. Kennard was still at Wells Fargo and that she endorsed the other employee. Is that true?
I'm not familiar with that situation.
Okay, it's been reported that Wells Fargo spokesmen have confirmed that that has in fact happened. Are you aware of this being a larger problem?
No, I'm not, and we've looked at we've looked at that issue apart and separate from that situation very closely.
So you can assure us that this is a unique occurrence of a former employee having a letter like this sent on behalf of Wells Fargo?
I can assure you that our team that works with our clients and Wells Fargo advisors and any of our wealth management or retail banking business that provides investment products works very hard to follow the rules and regulations that they're supposed to follow.
But you can't.
That's the feedback that we have from our risk teams that oversee that unit.
Okay, but you can't assure us that there haven't been other letters like this that have been sent out?
There may have. I'm not aware of any.
Okay, Mr. Tipton also asked you, do you have a fiduciary duty to your clients? You did not answer yes. You gave a different answer. Do you have a fiduciary duty to your clients?
Well, in certain businesses, the fiduciary is a legal term. In certain businesses, there is a fiduciary requirement. For example, in some of our wealth businesses, in our Wells Fargo's financial advisor business. In other businesses, there's not a fiduciary standard. And in those businesses, we use a standard of doing the right thing for our customers and making sure we're providing them with the right services and products.
Thank you for adding additional context to Mr. Tipton's question. I wanted to get specifically, though, into the situation with veterans. I was actually deployed myself to Iraq during this window. I am a Wells Fargo customer myself. Can you just briefly sum up, not generally, but briefly sum up specifically what Wells Fargo did to wrong our veterans?
Sure. We had a system in place that we've changed since I've become CEO, in which each one of our business lines was responsible for complying with the SCRA responsibilities, which we take very seriously. But unfortunately, we didn't have a standard set of rules and oversight in place. The changes that we've made is that we've centralized.
I'm not asking about the changes. What did you do to wrong the veterans specifically?
In circumstances.
And real quick, we're short on time.
In circumstances where we did not know they've been deployed, we had not given them their full rights under the SCRA Act. Okay,
and the OCC. Then I'll just sum up that you were charging service members higher rates on certain loans than were allowed. You weren't disclosing the service members were on active duty status to courts when they were facing eviction proceedings, repossessing service members' vehicles without first obtaining a court order. These are some of those specifics. I would assume you would say that Wells Fargo knew that it was doing these things as it was doing them, correct?
I don't think we always knew that, and part of the reason was we didn't necessarily have updated information from the Department of Defense.
Well, I mean, you were repossessing a service member's vehicle without a court order. You didn't know that you didn't have a court order?
We may not have known at that time that they were deployed. And so that's why we've created this SCRA Center of Excellence, so that we get up-to-date, multiple times a day, updates from the Department of Defense. We then have that group take a look at it before any sort of action, and it's done on a very frequent basis. And our defect rate today is 0.
And I appreciate you doing what you can to address this. It's very important, but I'm concerned that your regret was that you were doing it.
It should have never
you got
happened.
caught, and not that you were doing it in the first place. There should have been better systems in place as our veterans were deployed. I yield back.